So we're doing Father John Misty today, God's favourite customer. Yeah. What, me? Also known as Bloody Josh Tillman, you know? He's an American singer-songwriter from Maryland, the land of Mary. Formerly the drummer of Fleet Foxes, not to mention 20 million other associated acts. There's always been something so distinct about his voice, it being enshrined in this vulnerable inflection with some angst-bled, desperate fibers woven in besides, making him a discrete entity in the indie folk universe from the outset with his debut record, For Fun. And this is also very much discreet from pure comedy, that bloody cankerous 7-hour long Peter Jackson epic, in that the runtime here is comfortably under 40 minutes with not a song longer than 5.5. It honestly feels very much like a mental breakdown and a breakup after I Love You Honey Bear in some ways. And just like I Love You Honey Bear, he gets the swelling of the instrumentals dead on compositionally perfect on a couple occasions, even mirroring Radiohead's song structures with the climaxing output coloring the last rendition of the chorus like on the opener, hanging out at the bloody gallows. His melody here isn't exactly the catchiest thing in the world, but the sheer ambition and effort put into the final stages of the song with these jarring piano chords and the notes sustained and the alt-rock arrangement makes it a proper kind of fucking banging tune. Something that would fit squarely in Hail to the Thief's track listing, not to mention Mr. Tillman has these bright lullaby-esque xylophone notes that mirror no surprises in an eerie way. And whilst we're on the topic of mild Radiohead influence, he doesn't just keep to his delicious tenor either. On songs like Disappointing Diamonds are the rarest of them all, and Please Don't Die in particular, he relies on a hallowed falsetto similar to York's, or maybe even Jonathan Higgs's from Everything Everything, to deliver the vulnerability in the lyrics while maintaining that obvious Bob Dylan influence in the strumming and harmonica. His genre hops like a fucking cane toad caught in a cyclone, with songs like Date Night feeling like a Kooks B-side in those jangling guitar progressions and vocals. And not to mention his oohs are really delightfully warm and fun, pairing with the instrumentation perfectly, proving the point of fun and melodic goodness in just 2.5 minutes. Now, to be fair, he's always had this vibrancy and folk-tinged psychedelic colours to his chamber pop sound, a tonal richness which remains very much like his voice, uniquely his own. Yeah. Even if it's just the whistling on Mr. Tillman or that squelched guitar lead and Just Dumb Enough to Try, ambition and passion is held in the textural palette on more than half of the album here. It can be a double-edged sword in that some of the elements and genre transitions can feel a little stilted or gaudy, but on most occasions it is executed masterfully. But there's no getting around criticizing the tamer, more poignant cuts of this album. The Palace, for example, has some truly uninspired piano chords wrenching this song throughout its dreary runtime, whilst Wet Tillman's vocals just croon away uselessly, all meandering and swashing about like a fucking bucket on a fucking ship deck filled with vomit, I guess. But it's the complete lack of a progression which really stagnates this song. There's not even a hint of momentum at any point in any of the chords, which is strange considering how masterfully he can layer others like the opener with resounding climactic power. And it wouldn't be so bad if the piano playing itself was just engaging, but it simply isn't, despite his best efforts to mirror Radiohead's videotape. And God's favorite customer here, the self-titled track, has this similarly listless way of crooning, and the plodding tempo only succeeds in mirroring the most boring of bench tops. Yet at least this song has some great compositional embellishments with organs and folk and Americana elements intertwined as naturally as particularly natural dirt. Not to mention the female vocals harmonizing with his is at least a divisible progression, and a good one at that. Now see, pretentiousness and self-awareness have always been points of contention behind the alter ego of Father John Misty here, with a lot of detractors quite audibly sounding their consternation about his character, but for me, it's all about the sheer boredom I feel when tracks like The Songwriter or The Palace are playing. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm not that invested in his narratives or lyrics at all, but for me, the music always has to stand alone with interesting motifs at the very least. And compare the slower ballads on this to the new Mark Kozelek album, where Kozelek's technique and strumming alone is so valuable for carrying his lyrics across with interesting bloody fucking compositional elements where these uninspired piano chords here just don't. But yeah, this is quite simply the problem I have with this record. There's so many points in the back half where all of the momentum gained from songs like Disappointing Diamonds Are the Rarest Ones of Them All is sucked into indulgent ballads which don't capture my imagination or reel my ears in with hooks, whilst the other half of the track list also lacks some engaging grooves here and there with a couple of exceptions. That's not to say that his voice sounds bad, it just sounds lovely, and that's just his natural talent and timbre. But he just doesn't find a lot of memorability in a lot of his notes on at least half of the songs here. The harmonies just don't connect in meaningful combinations. For example, I like the bass work and textures on the closer. We're only people and there's not much anyone can do about that, but so much potential is lost here because he's seemingly forgotten how to find those infectious vocal nooks and crannies. I mean, just compare the closing passage of this song to the power in the opener and the disparity becomes all too apparent. Yet, having said that, Hang Out at the Gallows, Just Dumb Enough to Try, Please Don't Die, and Date Night all have pretty bloody banging qualities imbued throughout in one way or another, reinforcing my opinion that all of the strength and energy in songwriting comes almost exclusively from the first half. And of course, this record does grow on you in just the same ways as I Love You Honey Bear did, with that flower unfurling at dawnlight kind of fucking vibe. And that's all in the lavish layering. It's just very pretty and carries this late summer or even autumnal vibe to me somehow. So yeah, it is the saving grace of the record alongside Tillman's wit. You know, but Tillman does his job, you know, vocally. Don't get me wrong, he does well, you know, the songwriting just mixed bag. That's it. That's pretty much it, boys. Mixed bag. It's like a party bag where you bloody, you know, you've got like 3 strawberries and cream, right? But then the rest are bloody jelly beans. I mean, what the fuck, mate? So yeah, I'll just finish this review up. I'll chuck this a cheeky 3.6. So yeah, I'll just catch you later, mate. Just have a good one. You know how it is. I appreciate new subscribers, likes, pistachios, comments, whatever, feedback, fucking whatever. Just have a good one, mate.